Dr. Eddie Connors, professor, author, empowerment speaker, just the man for everything mental and physical health. Don't
Dr.
read. Don't you? Don't read
No.
that.
Dr. Connors, like Karen said, is an author, is a professor, is a motivational speaker. Dr. Connor has this new book out right now that we want to have him talk about masculinity and what that means. Good morning, Dr. Connors.
Hey, great to be with you, Ms. Dumas, and of course my brother from another mother, Brother Derek Ware.
Oh, hey, Dr.
I
Connors.
appreciate
How are you
sir.
today?
Wonderful. How about you all?
Good. I'm fine. There's always so much that we can talk to you about. I really don't even know where to begin. So I'm going to let you initiate the conversation, given we're talking about Men's Health Awareness Month. Your new book, as Derek talked about, masculinity, and maybe how that fits into the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've just penned a new book called The Mask of Masculinity: How Men Can Reclaim Their Identity, Lead in Love with Vulnerability. It's going to are we in a pandemic, but we're also maneuvering through a mandemic, simply because men's health, men as in general have been, in many cases, our masculinity has been called under the microscope. I think men's health is about more than awareness. I think it's a clarion call to take action. As men, we can statistically see that we're less likely to visit the doctor, seek therapy, ask for help, and we're really more likely to suffer from the side effects of stress. And I applaud you all by taking this, undertaking today and putting this all on the table, because we can no longer afford really to sit on the side as our brothers suffer in silence. And as we put men under the microscope, we realize we become masters at managing pain. We become professors and professionals, rather, at suppressing physical ailments because we don't like going to the doctor. The only time we go to the hospital is when it's through the emergency room. And so consequently, we deal with high blood pressure, hypertension, high anxiety. And I think today is the day to really challenge ourselves to do something different in order to get something different.
Dr. Connors, I got a couple questions for you in regards to the traditional belief of masculinity and how it has negatively impact men's mental health and keep them from accessing support, such as being the breadwinners in the family, displaying traditional masculine traits such as strength and control, and rely on oneself and not seek help from others, not speak openly about their emotions. How has this affected men, period?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think masculinity has always been something that we've had to prove, to wear this S on our chest, to really be this super bland, to be so strong. But in many cases, really means that sometimes we're sad and suffering in silence. Don't cry. Hold your emotions inside. Boys don't cry. It's only for girls. Be a man. And I think all of that has become deleterious to our destiny and really understanding who it is that we are. Because we have to really honor our humanity. We have to honor, as Bishop T.D. Jakes, our emotions. We have to really check in with ourselves and really remove the mask of what society places on ourselves. Because, you know, oftentimes masculinity and vulnerability can't coexist in the same space. Oftentimes that vulnerability is castigated and demonized as femininity, when really is just true humanity. And so really being able to honor our emotions, get in touch with our humanity, and really, as you were talking about even before, find somebody that we can talk to. You can't spell mentors without men. You can't spell mental health without men. And it's going to take all of us to really take our lives to the next level.
But how do you let someone know that it's okay to peel back that mask or scab, if you will, that, in my opinion, has been generational? You know, I mean, it's been the grandfather telling the father and the father telling the son, you're not supposed to cry. You're supposed to, you know, not show your emotion. You're supposed to do all these things that have ultimately broken the man and the family. How do you reassure them that it's okay when you still have society pushing that image and that narrative of the opposite?
You know, I think that's a great thought, and really, I think we have to do what we're doing today and what we're doing through social media now. The veneer of masculinity is beginning to come down, and generally, whenever a man is going through something, this is what you hear. Absolutely nothing because we've been taught to just keep everything inside. And I think what we're seeing now is a new generation of men who are saying, I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of just flying around with the cape all the time. I do need a soft place and space to land. I need to go and check in on my mental health. I need to have these critical conversations. I need to build something with my brothers to where we talk about more than just money, women, and sports. How to have a serious conversation. The New York Times suggested that men were hit the hardest during the pandemic because the only time we had as a resource to talk was around sports events, was at a bar. I think the pandemic found a way for us to open up and really have some of these critical conversations that we're having today.
If you're just tuning in, we are talking to Dr. Eddie Conner Jr. He is professor, author, empowerment speaker. He's also joined us on Your Health Matters here on the show before, given us great insight on our mental and physical well-being all around. And as we talk about Men's Health Awareness Month and upcoming Father's Day, talking about his new book, it's called The Mask of Masculinity.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
The Mask of Masculinity, and how do we begin to peel that back? So let's talk a little bit about, Dr. Conner, some of the indicators that we could recognize in the men that we encounter that they may need a deeper conversation or engagement to help peel back that mask.
Yeah, I think one oftentimes of what we fail to do a lot of times is really express ourselves emotionally. I know for me, 2022 marks 22 years of me being cancer-free. I had to go through stage 4 cancer. I was diagnosed with that, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. My own father never visited me one day in the hospital. I didn't want to tell my mother about the pain that I was experiencing in my chest. I had a lot of anger. I think a lot of times as men, when we don't express ourselves emotionally, we bottle it up into rage and into anger, and anger becomes just one letter away from danger. Not having a trusted confidant to be able to confide in and talk about, dealing with things emotionally, being withdrawn, being in many cases socially disconnected from those who you would find to be trusted, and now you're seemingly moving away from them and you don't want to talk to anybody. I think those are some indicators to where I even had to check in with myself and face my own challenges about the bitterness that I had with my father, about the ugly things of what I refused to deal with, the emotional trauma, the psychological pain, the emotional incarceration, oftentimes of what we deal with that becomes generational, like you were talking about. When we're frustrated with our father, when we have mother wounds, when we have father wounds that aren't healed, it'll be revealed in some way, because if we don't heal, we're going to bleed on people who didn't cut us. And I had to realize, and as Father's Day comes up, that I had to forgive somebody who didn't give me an apology, who didn't visit me one day in the hospital. That just because I didn't have a father doesn't mean I didn't have a future. Just because I didn't have a daddy didn't mean I didn't have a destiny. I had to have my own therapy and my own counseling to be able to remedy for my own issues.
Now, you hit on something, Dr. Conner, and that's therapy. We talk about getting men to go to the doctor just for a checkup. That's one obstacle. Getting to therapy, I can anticipate it being a whole nother obstacle. How do we start that conversation when we see those indicators that a person could benefit just from some professional intervention?
Yes, one thing that men hate to ask for is help. We don't even want to find help to ask somebody for the directions down the street, much less trying to navigate through life. I think in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And when a man's woman is telling him to go and get some therapy, it can really be seen as, hey, no, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But when there are some brothers, when you have a band of brothers and mentors to say, hey, bro, let's just check in on this specific aspect. Let's deal with this here. Let's kind of talk about what's going on here. I think you can receive it a little bit better because we have to see therapy as not something that's taboo. It's for me and you. It's not that something's wrong with us. We're really unearthing what's right with us in the midst of the pain, to be able to really channel what it is and get a pulse on the pain of what it is that we experience, to really have some of these conversations differently, so that we can see our life through a different lens.
All right. We're talking to Dr. Eddie Conner as part of our men's health awareness conversation this month on Your Health Matters, brought to you by Detroit Community Health Connection. If a man is alienated, I guess, or off to himself, you mentioned that earlier, already not connecting, and they don't have that band of brothers to kind of intervene, then what do they do?
I think he's got to be intentional with reaching out. And sometimes, guys, we just want to wait till things come to us versus taking initiative. I think we've got to create a way of discovering intentional relationships. We've got contacts in our phones. We've got people who we have not talked to, probably for some folks since the pandemic or at the beginning of the pandemic, that you just need to check in with. For me, I had to check in with a former high school principal. I had to check in with some friends who I grew up with. And being able to have some of those conversations, whether it's sending somebody a text message, hey, bro, just checking in with you. How you doing? What's up? What's going on, man?
And that was one of the missions that my pastors, Tellers Chapman, we had to do on a weekly basis with the man. Pick a man and check on him.
But that would also be helpful for you
Absolutely.
as well. So, I mean, the person that you're reaching out to, you're helping them, but then it helps for you to open up a little bit
Absolutely.
too, because you've got to indicate a little bit of vulnerability to actually ask and listen to the person that you're reaching out to. Do you agree, Dr. Conner?
I totally agree. And it takes being a little bit vulnerable.
I was just getting ready to ask you about that. That was one of the conversations we had yesterday at Focus Hope, fatherhood brunch. Why is it that we as men don't want to feel vulnerable or put ourselves in a situation where we're vulnerable?
I think one of those things is how really we've been socialized. I think how we've been raised. We don't want to feel that type of pain. The only times the emotions that we want to show is the excitement or watching the football game, the basketball game, whatever the case may be. We don't, it's hard for us to really just get in touch with many of those things. And I find myself even still having to say, this is how I feel. This is what I don't like. This is what I need to check in with on myself about. Eddie, I feel this. I don't like that. I have to really take the initiative to write down my feelings, to analyze some of the pain that I experienced, so on and so forth. I think we really just have to go back to really being intentional and really validating our feelings as well.
Can you talk about
we got to do that.
I'm sorry. Your feelings are real, and it's not up to somebody else to tell you how you feel.
Or to validate or invalidate those
exactly.
feelings.
Right. Totally right. Nobody can make you feel bad for how you feel. And oftentimes you really know you're in the hands of a manipulator when they make you feel bad for what they did to you. And I think taking the time to really tap in with ourselves and really move into a process of forgiveness, forgiving ourselves for allowing it, appropriating God's forgiveness and forgiving other people. I think that helps us.
So, Dr. Conner, where can we find your latest publication?
Yes. I like to say the revolution not only be televised, it'll be digitized. They can go to my website, DrEddieAcademy.com/men to get a signed copy. It's available everywhere this Tuesday, June the 14th, on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble as well. So it's The Mask of Masculinity. It's going to be a powerful book for our brothers as well as the women who love it.
Yeah, I was going to say, now, a woman could read that book because I would assume it would offer some insight into some of the issues that men may deal with.
Oh, without a doubt. And, I was really intentional about writing it and including women in it in our process as well of healing, and really how women can create spaces, safe spaces for our men to be vulnerable. Being able to open up emotionally, being able to talk about what it is that is going on in their own lives and how to actually proactively create those safe spaces for their man to be able to trust them and be able to confide.
Well, Dr. Conner, we always appreciate you taking time to speak with us today. If everybody just listened to the show and the people we bring on the show, everybody would be fine, right? I mean, we're bringing the solutions right here, but we certainly appreciate it. Your website, EddieConner.com, is still active as well. Am I correct?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay, and I assume that there'll be a link to get your book there as well?
Yes,
okay.
They sure can.
All right.
Conner.com as well. They can get a link. They can go right there to the book as well.
All right.
I really appreciate you both for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Oh, no, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
And have a great Sunday and happy Father's Day. And I say that whether you're biological or not. I mean, men have to understand that they are, people watch them. So you are a father figure for somebody, whether you realize it or not. So happy Father's Day to you as well.
Oh, thank you immensely. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Conner.
Thanks.